everybody. Welcome to Bestie Book Reviews. I'm here with my favorite person in the world, the Bestie Mandy.
And I'm here with my bestie, Jessica.
I guess you're over here, not over here. Right now,
Yeah.
You're over here. Oops. Okay. So today's our weekly reading wrap-up. This is where we do our 1-minute book recs. This is where we talk about all the books that we read in the last week with 1-minute synopsises of each book. So before we get started with that, Mandy,
Make sure that you hit that subscribe button and like and leave us a comment. How was your reading week? Have you read anything good so far this month? Let us know in those comments. And you want to be subscribed because we give away free books. So make sure you hit that subscribe button for our Road to 1K giveaway.
Yes, so exciting. So tell me about your reading week.
I had 2 5-star reads and I read 9 books.
You beat me.
Yes! It's the only time it'll happen the whole year.
I had 7 books that I read this week. 2 of them were a part of a trilogy, so I'll talk about them together. And I had 2 new 5-star reads. And like one, though, that is probably going to go into my favorites of all time. So
awesome. I can't wait to hear about that one. Yeah, I won't have this many books from like this point out because I have a lot of other stuff coming up that I have to do. So this was my one time that I'll have
and
more books
I don't know
for the
how
year.
Crazy my next few weeks are going to be a little bit nutso, so we'll see how many books I get in, but you guys know me always, right? Can I show you something that just showed up? I am so excited about this. I forgot to show you guys last week. If you go to a vendor event like Mandy and I do, all these, not vendor events, an author signing event, and Frills and Freckles are there, make sure you look at getting one of their tumblers. So what they do is they give you a tumbler, and you can choose, like this one I got to choose the book behind it. So the pages, they rip up an actual book, which is just complete blasphemy. I can't believe they do that. But anyhow, they rip up a book and they put it in the background and then you design it. You choose the colors and then you take it and have all the authors sign it. And then you give it back to them. And then they seal it and they send it to you. So this just showed up from Vegas. It showed up about a week and a half ago. So it does take some time to get them, but mine is the surviving traces in the background here. But it has all the signatures of all of the authors that we saw. So this is a really great keepsake. Cool. It's really, really neat. It's better than any other Tervis tumbler or any tumbler that I have. So I love it. So if you guys get an opportunity to do that, definitely do it because it's a great keepsake. So yeah. Okay, and there are quite a few because I think there are going to be a few of our events coming up this year. So, all right. So since you read more than me this week,
yes,
you're going to start.
Okay, so my first read of the week was called Kiss Me Tenderly by Anna B. Doe. This is about Penny. Penny is our heroine, and she is blind. She has a seeing eye dog named Henry. Henry is really just the star of the book. I absolutely loved Henry. And it is about also Sebastian Black, or also known as Bash to his fans. He is a rock star. Some things have happened and we learn more as the book goes on about what's kind of led to a little bit of his spiral, and he has now been out of the limelight. He canceled all his concerts and has basically been in hiding and nobody knows what he's doing. And he turns up at Blairwood University where Penny is a student, and he decides he's going to go to college. He has not gotten to have much of a normal life because he's been famous since he was like 15, 16. He's now, I think he's 23, and he's going to take some music classes, and he runs in to Penny, kind of chews her out about it, and doesn't realize that she is actually blind. And the second time he meets her, he finally figures it out. But he is captivated by the way she plays the piano, and it has kind of started to inspire him again to write, which he has not been able to do for months and months and months. And so he then wants to really form some sort of friendship with her. And this is a little bit of a slow burn because it takes a while to get things kind of going between the two of them. But it was a phenomenal read. I really enjoyed it. And again, Henry, the guide dog, is just super adorable in this story. And I really... Can you hear my donkeys? Okay, I have the window open because it's really stuffy in here. Anyways, Henry the Guide Dog, I just really appreciated him. And I read about how the author had taken a lot of time to research and interview people to really kind of get things right in this. And so I just really enjoyed it. It was really good.
Good.
Solid 4-star read.
Good. Good.
Okay.
So for my first book, this is going to be difficult to explain. This one is the one that I'm saying is going down as all-time favorite. I've read there's 2 books. So this is a trilogy. I've read the first 2. So this is Spark of Madness. I started the 3rd one last night. It's by Bryn Ford. So this is like if you were to take Handmaid's Tale, The Hunger Games, that movie, The Village by M. Night Shyamalan, because I can't say his name, and a little bit of Divergent maybe, and throw it all into a book. That's what you're getting right here. So this takes place in the year 2180 something. And there's been civil wars. It's dystopian. It's dark. Check your triggers. The trigger list is a mile long. It's dystopian. It's dark. Yeah, you get it. Anyhow, so it takes place in this village. This village has been shut off from the rest of the world because civil wars have taken out everything and everybody as far as anyone knows. And our heroine is Mercy. She's a part of what they call, she's a servant. So in this world, in this village, women are either domestics or they're servants. And that is decided for you at the age of 5. And then you have the men. And the men have a really horrible impulse control, apparently, because once a month they have what they call the purge. So throw the purge in here as well. They have the purge where the men go into this giant field and they get to be with the servant in any way, shape, or form, with or without their consent. And it's one night of debauchery. And it's gross because these poor girls are technically being raped. They don't get this choice. The women and men in this village, even though they're married in arranged marriages, because if you're a servant, you're arranged to marry one of these guys. You don't get a say in who you marry, but you also don't have sex ever with your husband. You get pregnant by artificial insemination. The people who have the sex are the servants. They don't want to. Anyhow, Mercy does something a night of a purging that gets her in trouble. She gets thrown into these 3 trials. She knows she's going to die. Nobody has ever made it through. They're intended to kill her. And that's when she falls in love with Arlo, who's a part of the control, who's in charge of, they like run the town. And it's very religious. And she's able to tell them, she's like, she questions everything. And that's part of the reason why they want to get rid of her. I'm just started the 3rd book. It's epic. It is what we look for when we look for a book that you get every once in a while. It's like what you get when you read, our favorite books of all time. Like this has it. I'm in it. I am in it and I am loving it. Like if I could give it all the stars, I would. So okay. The 3rd book, it better not let me down. I'll let you guys know next week. So, all right. So tell me about your next book.
My next book is one that you have read. No guesses?
Mastery?
No.
Oh, okay.
I read The Winter Before by Karen Crompton. So this is about Olivia and Isaac. This is a slow burn. And in my notes, I actually wrote slow burn because it is a slow burn. It takes a while before we actually get to them getting together. But the story is not them actually being together. It's a journey of kind of healing to getting to that point. So this is about Isaac, who was in a pretty horrific fire when he was a kid and has left him severely scarred. And because of things that were said to him when he was a little boy about his scars, he has chosen to basically live his life kind of in the shadows. He has a job, but he works in the background. He sticks to himself and just doesn't interact with people. Olivia inherits the house next to him, and she tries to be neighborly, just kind of shows up at his house, asks him for some help, and just sort of forces herself into his orbit, not in an aggressive way, but just when he's like, no, I don't need company, she's like, it's okay, I don't mind. Just kind of that bubbly personality. And they are also trying to solve a little bit of a mystery as well with the inheritance to the house. So it's a really great read, just not like on the spicy level. So if you're looking for something spicier, this is not going to be for you. But if you're looking for just a really heartwarming slow burn story, this is it. Solid 4 stars. And now I have officially read everything by Karen Crompton.
Yay!
Mark
Round
that
of
off my
applause for you.
list. Yes. I've only
Yeah,
done that with 2 authors. So
I am all about Isaac needs to be protected. Period. I just I just loved him. I loved his character. It's definitely
do you know who I didn't like in that book?
who?
Kyle.
Me having a giant brain fart because I read that a long time ago. Who's Kyle?
Well, reread the book.
God dang it, Mandy. Just tell me afterwards.
Kyle's a guy in town that they went to school with.
Oh, yeah, that douche canoe.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Yep. All right. So my next book is, it's that whole, we talk about this all the time where just because, or we've talked about it before, just because one book doesn't work with you by a certain author doesn't mean like the next book that the author writes wouldn't work with you. Because the next book I read is by Jessie Hall, and I read That Sick Love last year, and it didn't work for me just because of the content, not because the book was horrible or anything. It was just the content that triggered me in some certain ways. But I read Hawk by her, and I loved this book. Like, I want to read the next one. So let's talk about it. Okay. So again, Hawk by Jessie Hall. This is about Nicole and Hawk. So Nicole is in a long-term relationship. She's moved from her hometown to go live with her boyfriend, who is working for his dad's company, and he's very all about the business. And the relationship is not the best because she doesn't see it right off the bat, but we do. We see that she sacrifices everything for this guy, and he has given her nothing. And she's not good enough for his family. Like, all these things are happening. And then one day she comes home from work, and boyfriend is like, "Hey, so here's my buddy." She actually catches him in bed with a woman in her house. She thinks somebody has broken into her house to have sex, and she's like on the phone with 911. It's pretty funny, actually. But he's like, "Hey, so this is my buddy Hawk. He just got out of jail, and we're gonna help him, and he's gonna live here because he used to own this house, but then I bought it from him when he went to jail." And so Hawk is brought into their home, and there's a lot of animosity at first, but that leads into something more the more they get to know each other, because she works a night shift at a bar or a grave, or like a swing shift, and he isn't working yet. So they spend a lot of their days together, and her boyfriend's gone a lot, and he doesn't understand her, he doesn't listen to her. So this does have cheating, obviously, because she's with this guy. But I gave it 5 stars. I love the book, I love the story. I want to read the next one, which would be Kid, because he's mentioned in this book. So definitely, if you don't like a book by an author, it doesn't necessarily mean that the author is bad. It just could be the book didn't work for you. So give them a second chance.
I think that it's also important, like, was it writing?
No, it was the content.
Or the book. So if it's the writing, then maybe not.
Yeah.
But if you're like, the writing wasn't bad, I just didn't care for this, then maybe try a different book. Because I've done that. I have books where I've read and I'm like, I love these other books by the author. This book was not great. Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, good thing this wasn't the first book I read.
And Jessie Hall only has 3 books out, to my knowledge, what I've seen. But she's a great writer. She really sucks you in. So.
Okay.
All
right. So my next read is Devious Obsession by S. Mastery. This is about Steel and Aspen. So this is hockey. It's dark. It has primal play, and we have step siblings. Step siblings, though, that don't even really realize they're step siblings until they're already in college when they become step siblings. So they have a one-night stand together over the summer, and then Aspen is sent to the same college as Steele by her new stepdad to kind of spy on Steele. And when she gets there, she realizes that Steele is the same guy from her rather adventurous one-night stand that summer. Steele recognizes who she is, but doesn't realize that they're step siblings and that she's been sent there to spy on him at this point in time, because him and his dad have kind of an estranged relationship. So they end up continuing to kind of hook up together. There is a lot of crazy stuff in this book. He does some horrific things to her. He's not a great guy. He actually says that. Like, S. Mastery has a foreword at the beginning of the book where she says Steele wants you to know he's not a hero. So it's pretty obvious where we're going with this book. So it's very dark. It's very twisted. he's horrific. So why did I like this book?
It's the question of the year because I loved it too.
Solid 4 stars. I'm not sure what's wrong with me.
Whatever it is, it's probably, you probably caught it from me. I think it's contagious, just so you know.
It was definitely abrupt change from the winter before.
A little bit. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
all right.
the next book
So your next book.
the next book I did was a reread, but that's because audio came out for the first time for this book this week, and I had to get on it because it was a favorite of mine from last year. So we're going to talk about that, and that is.
Oh, I forgot to say, this was audio. I've been wanting to try and do better about telling if we're doing audio or
that
books.
was Teddy Hamilton.
Yes, it was really good.
When you hear Teddy's voice, it doesn't matter what he's doing in the background.
I got the physical book at Love in Vegas from S Mastery, and then I saw it was on audio, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna listen to this."
Yeah,
Teddy, and then I just probably sat around like this.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but in my book, he is top.
Yes. So, all right. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay, no, it's okay. Okay, so the third storm. So you did an audio, third storm. This audio is great. The audio is worth it. So you guys probably already heard me talk about this, but we're going to talk about it again. Sorry. Okay, so not sorry, really. So this is about Rowan. And this is a dystopian post-apocalyptic romance where the world has been flooded by these storms, where the book starts out in the middle of the third storm or right after the third storm, and there's more storms coming. So Rowan was engaged at one point in time, and the ex-fiance, has arranged for her to get onto this ship so that she can survive these storms that are, basically wiping out Earth. And so she, with her 2 nephews, are headed to go do that. They're going to they have to make their way to the coast to get to this ship. Along the way, because her sister's dead, she's taking care of her nephews. Along the way, they find this guy who's badly injured in a ditch. She wants to leave him behind. Her nephews are like, I ain't playing that game. And so they go back and they get him. Well, the boyfriend or the ex-fiance that has set this up, the person that she's taking the place of is military. And that woman had 2 children, 2 sons, and a husband. So when she gets to the military base, she tells them that the guy in the back is her husband, because nobody knows this woman. So now they have to live on this ship for a year in this little shoebox size room and sharing the same bed. So all of you with the 1 bed trope, there you go. But the audio was amazing. This one, I do need to point out, this is a trilogy. The other 2 audiobooks are coming. They're not quite here yet. And I've been talking with Liz about that this week. They're on their way. This has an adult heroine. A lot of the times you get these post-apocalyptic ones and they're like these 18, 16, 17. Think about it. Could you have survived the apocalypse at 16, 17, 18? Because I sure as hell couldn't. So this woman is a woman.
We would have done just fine.
I bailed on you on a sled. Do you really believe that?
One of us would have been just fine.
Yeah, the one who bailed. Okay.
I don't know about that.
Anyhow, this is an adult, and a lot of the times when you read these, they're not adults. These are adult women, and that just makes life so much better. So I love this story. It's very action-packed. It was It was my number 3 of the year last year. So yeah. Okay.
Well, my next read was actually, I listened to this, and it is for our buddy read. So check out the live show that would have aired yesterday on Bookmark by Jen's channel. So this is the Trist by Lauren Blakely. This timer is just giving me headaches today. Okay, this is about Layla and Nick, or also known as Daddy Bancroft. Oh my gosh. Anyways, so Nick and Layla hook up at this networking type event, like conference thing. And then they kind of go their separate ways. They know it's just going to be a hookup. Neither of them are really looking for anything, but they kind of find themselves continuing to text each other in very flirtatious type ways. And they're kind of starting to build a little something. Well, Layla is out with one of her really good friends, David, who is also her ex-boyfriend from college. And they are working together on a fundraiser type thing. David's dad is coming into town and is going to be helping with this. He's also moving back to where they live. And he shows up and Layla is like, what are you doing here, Nick? And Nick is like, what's going on? And David is like, oh, as he comes back to their table and is like, oh, you met my dad, Layla. And Layla's like, oh. Nick is like, oh. And so now the three of them are working on this fundraiser together. Nick and Layla have like undeniable chemistry. Nick had David when he was really young, so there is definitely an age gap, but it's not as much as you would see in some of those types of tropes. I absolutely loved this book. Loved it a lot. The chemistry was fantastic. Teddy Hamilton is the narrator, so he does a fantastic job. And Vanessa Edwin, both of them. It was a fantastic listen. I really enjoyed it a lot. I could have continued like listening for a lot longer. So this is part of the Virgin Society, and it is book number 2. So now I'm like, I need to go back and check out book number 1 because I really enjoyed this.
Okay. I haven't read it yet. I'm reading it today for tomorrow. I need it to be fresh in my mind, especially because my brain is so focused on this Ember Glenn trilogy. So,
all right.
And something else that I'm reading that we'll talk about later. That I'm
ready?
Yes. Okay, so here's the deal, guys. I think that this next book is probably a really good book. It's just that I was so invested in this other Ember Glenn book, the one that I was telling you about that was like top read, that it kind of fell short for me because I was really invested in it. And that is Ensnared by Rebecca Quinn. So this is a duet. This one is also post-apocalyptic. Apparently I had a theme this week. And this is about Eden. She's been alone living in a cave for like 4 years underground because the world has gone to crap. And she has to leave for some reason. She gets chased down by these really bad guys. And so she's running in the woods when she runs into 3 dudes. These guys are all ex-Army Rangers. They're all Army Rangers. They have a place that they're gonna like a place to keep her safe. They decide to finally take her. They've been looking for one woman for all of them because they're all doms. They were a part of a sex club at one point in time. So there's 5 guys. There's 2 more back at the homestead, and there's 1 girl. And the premise sounds fun, and there was nothing wrong with the book. I still gave it 3. And did I give it 4 stars? I can still give it 4 stars. I did give it 4 stars. Didn't write it in my book, obviously. But it was just that I was already invested in this other one that was so good that it took away from this one. I listened to the audio. The audio is amazing because they have Teddy's in it. There's a whole bunch of guys in it. There's a different voice narrator for every different guy, which helps you keep them in line. But we've also said before, the whole sex club BDSM thing, it just doesn't do it for me. So maybe that's part of the reason why too. The plot struggles a little bit with the amount of smut. It does. But there is plot there somewhere. You have to dig for it. But I probably would have really enjoyed it had I not been reading the other books this week. So don't count it out. Try it out.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. My next book is Stolen Summer by Cassie Mint. This is a Poppy. Poppy's dad is a governor. She is 22 years old, and she kind of just wants to live her own life. And her dad wants her to basically fall in line and do what he wants. So he has fabricated some records to make it sound like she is pretty out of control and sends her off to this swanky rehab type place where they have like bungalows and all this. And in the paperwork, the doctor has requested that she immediately be medicated. So basically, dad's just trying to get her to comply with him with whatever means necessary. Well, our Dr. Witt, he realizes right off the get-go that there's really nothing going on here with her. And so together they work to kind of expose her father. This is a novella, so it is a pretty quick read. I really enjoyed it. 4 stars. I was a little surprised it wasn't as smutty out the get-go as sometimes those books can be, but it was really solid plot. I really enjoyed it. Definitely could have read a full-length book, but Cassie Mint has a good way of doing her novellas where it feels very complete and not rushed, even though you definitely could feel that.
Cool. That's good. Okay, you're gonna love this next one.
Okay.
Okay, this one is called Tasting Red. It's by Holly Roberts, and it is a Little Red Riding Hood retelling. It was interesting. I'll give it that. There was, again, nothing wrong with the writing. I just kind of got a little bored in it. But this is about Red and our hero, our morally gray hero, who is Brexley, which threw me off because I felt like that was a feminine name. Probably because Karen did that to us with Brinley. Was it Brinkley?
Brindley.
Brinley, thank you. That's why my brain just wants to throw an X in there every time. Okay. So Red is the granddaughter, obviously to Grandma. Grandma is in this world there is magic and stuff, so it's got fantasy elements to it, and she is going to college. She's her grandma is like this famous grandma who made this pastry line or these sweets lines, and there's magic in the sweets, and Brexley is hired as the huntsman to be an assassin to try and kill Grandma. Nobody can find Grandma. He is a wolf shifter, and Red has absolutely no magic, so she believes. And but she has every month around this one time of the month she gets extremely horny. Make it that what you will. I gave it 3.75 stars. Again, the story, there was nothing wrong with the story. It was just that I obviously wasn't in the mood for fantasy. It sounded really good. It's the start of a series where you get other characters from other tales in there.
Why did you think I was going to love this?
It was a joke. It was a joke.
Okay.
It's like you love all my aliens and stuff. It was a joke.
Like you're like, it's a retelling, and I'm like, I really don't like retellings.
That's what I said. I meant you're gonna like. Okay,
then you're like wolf shifter. I'm like,
no, I meant to say that in a way of you're gonna love this. Like you're gonna make fun of me for this kind of thing. Anyhow, not that you were gonna love it, but you're gonna make fun of me for it. I saw it recommended as like a great audio, and that's the other thing that took away from it. In the audio, there was nothing wrong with the narrators themselves, but there was background static noise. And I had my over-the-ear Bluetooth, like noise canceling headphones on, and that staticky noise in the background, like grated on my nerves. And I just couldn't, it took away from the book quite a bit, which I put that in my review. There's nothing necessarily wrong with the book, but the audio, the background noise, that has to be fixed. Because it was just one of those, I was like, oh. So if you do this one, definitely read it. Don't listen to the audio because that just was too much.
I would have stopped.
Yeah, it was only on the male side. It wasn't the females. So it was something with his audio. Yeah. So, okay, what's your next book?
Okay, my next book is The Devil Gets His Due by Elizabeth O'Rourke. I always struggle with her name.
Good girl.
This is about Keely and Graham. So Keely is just your very flighty, up for a good time, always girl. And Graham is your very serious guy. Kind of a grumpy sunshine type trope here. Keely, though, has a reason she's like this. I hate flighty heroines when they're just like, oh, whatever, let's go party. I have no care in the world. Because that just doesn't feel real when you are an adult. And so she has a reason. She believes that there's this family curse and she is going to die young. So she doesn't think that, so she's basically just trying to live her life and have fun. Her and Graham are planning this party for Graham's brother and her best friend that are getting married and all of this stuff. So they're kind of thrown into each other's orbit. They give each other a lot. There's a lot of banter, a lot of ribbing, and I absolutely was here for it. I loved it. And they end up drunk, going to Vegas. They get married. All this happens very quickly at the very beginning of the book. And also, Keely ends up pregnant. And she and Graham are forced back together, and Graham says they live on opposites, different coasts. So Graham is like, I'm moving in with you because if I don't want to get shut out of my kid's life. So if I live with you during all of this while you're pregnant, baby's born, that's gonna, cement me kind of here. I just don't want to be pushed out. So Keely kind of reluctantly agrees to let him move in, and this is where that story really takes off. I absolutely love this. It was a 5-star read for me.
Cool. Sounds like something I'd like.
One of my only for this whole year.
Okay.
All right. What's your next read?
So this is my last one for the week. This was a reread again, and I'm going to, because audio came out this week. So I had no clue this was coming. I get a message from Lilith Vincent, and she's like, audio is out for Fear Me, Love Me Now. You guys know that I love this book, so I had to listen to the audio yesterday. I was not disappointed. I was not bored at all, and I just read this a few months ago. So like this was, oh, the audio's great. Okay, so this one is the one that is based on The Labyrinth. Our main male character, Tyrant, is based off of Jareth from The Labyrinth, and he's crazy as all get out. So then we have Vivian, who is our heroine, and she lives with her dad and stepmom. They have a baby, and dad is a gambler. He's gambled away all their money. So Tyrant comes to get the money back, and dad doesn't have the money, and dad is a really piss poor parent. He's very cruel to Vivian, and so is the mother or the stepmom. And so Tyrant takes the baby brother. And so then you have our heroine, Vivian, who decides that she's going to go get her brother back. And when she does, she kind of falls into the trap of Tyrant, who's crazy, absolutely crazy. And he decides he's going to keep her and the baby brother, but he goes about it in very interesting ways. So this book is told in a way that it's told we are in the present. We go to the past to see him kidnap the brother, and then we go back to the present. It has a lot of breeding in it. It has very over-the-top, possessive, crazy hero. And if you're here, I mean, like, it's, here you go. If you like that stuff like me, this is the one. If you haven't read this, definitely the new audio is just, it's great. It's wonderful. Wonderful. I'm a part of Lilith's, her Patreon, because right now she has the one that you haven't read it yet. You read the one by the uncle, but the one where it's like this, the stepdad and the daughter, I can't remember the name of the book, but she's got a graphic novel. You have to go, like, it's on there to read. You have to read the graphic novel, and every week she puts out, or every couple of days she puts out a new chapter of the graphic novel, and it's so hot. Just saying, guys, check out her Patreon if you really like that book. And I can't, Brutal something, I can't remember what it's called.
Brutal Intentions.
Is that what it is? Thank you. That's what I was thinking it was, but there's a lot of books called Brutal Intentions, so okay. I was questioning myself. Okay, tell me about yours now. It's all you, dude. Okay.
My next book was a very different read for me, and I am like glad I read it. Ready? Okay.
Ready.
So I read Grand Finale by Christopher Baldi. I'm not sure which way to say the last name. The I makes me think it should be Baldi, but I don't know. Anyways, so this is about Sal. Sal is 76 years old. So I've never read a book where our main male character is older like that. So I wasn't really sure what to expect because he's 76. But this book was fantastic. So he finds out, however you wanted to word that he is going to die in exactly 4 days. And he has some unfinished business he wants to take care of. So he contacts his 27-year-old grandson that he's pretty much estranged from and asks him to come see him. So he reluctantly does. And he tells him he needs him to drive him to this island town. And he promises that he has a significant amount of money that he won from Frank Sinatra back in the day. And I'm already over my time. I'm sorry. I'm just going to keep going.
Okay.
So he convinces Michael, his grandson, and Michael, his best friend, Ricky, to go with him and drive him because he doesn't have a way to get there. So they agree. Somewhat reluctantly on Michael's part, but Ricky is a little more like, let's do this, type thing. So they go for it. They get there. And this is just really basically a road trip of redemption. Sal wants to find his one true love that he left behind years and years ago when he was 32, Evelyn. And this book, it was such an adventure. So it was so different from what I typically read, but I absolutely loved it. There was angst, there was heartbreak. I cried twice. And I cannot stop thinking about the characters and how I like whenever you feel this deeply about characters and you can't stop thinking about them and you wish like different things could have happened for them and things like that, you know you've read a really good book. Because most of the time I read a book and I'm on to the next book and I don't think about those characters, but these characters have stuck with me. So, great book. I highly recommend it, but it is a very different romance of book. So, you're not going to get your typical traditional ending that you may be looking for, but still give this a try. And it is free on Kindle. I'll link the link. I'll link the link below so you can get the book. It's free for the next 3 days. So January 22nd, 23rd, 24th, you can get this book for free. I highly recommend you grab it. Give it a
You know what
try.
that is? That's Christopher giving you all a birthday gift from me because my birthday's the 23rd.
Yes,
Thanks, Christopher.
yes.
That's good. I would think his last name was Baldy. Just say,
Baldy.
yeah, he could let us know. I'm
I
sure
know. I should have asked. I
which
feel
one was right.
I'm
But that's okay.
healed.
That's okay.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay. So
Um,
go grab the book. It's definitely worth the read and let us know what you think of it because I really enjoyed it.
don't worry, guys. I'll be grabbing my book next week when I go to Mandy's house and like rip it off her bookshelf. So
Yes. I should mention he's a screenwriter and has been doing that for quite a while. So this definitely kind of like you really can submerge yourself into it and you feel like you're in kind of like a movie. It's so good. And it's in third person, which usually I'm like third person, but this just the writing just sucks you right in and you're on this road trip and I mean the next thing you
yeah.
know you're rooting for the 76-year-old guy who you're like he's pretty rough around the edges, but you're still rooting for him.
Cool. But I think that's
Okay.
awesome that you liked it so much. So it makes me excited.
Yes. All
Yeah.
right.
Okay, you got any more?
Yeah, I have two more. Sorry.
Yay!
Okay.
Okay.
My next one. And Jessica, you
What?
rated this book a 4, so I just need to know, like, maybe you had like a little extra wine that night.
I don't drink.
So I know it was a joke.
I
It was
know,
a
but I'm like, I
joke.
don't drink. So what did I do
I'm
wrong?
making excuses for you. I didn't
Oh.
like the book. I rated it a
Oh.
3. It's probably a pity 3. It's
Well,
called
I don't know. I don't even know
Unexpected
what you're talking
Reality.
about.
Unexpected Reality by Kaylee Ryan.
Oh, it was a pity 4.
Okay, well, I gave it
Yeah.
a pity 3. So this is about Kendall and Ridge. It's book number 1 in Unexpected Rivals. It has the pregnancy trope. We start off with Melissa's point of view, then we get Ridge's point of view, then we get oh shit,
Hey, again,
Jessica.
did it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So this book I really wanted to like it. I really liked Ridge at the beginning of the book. He unexpectedly, get it? Unexpected reality. He unexpectedly has a newborn son that he is solely responsible for. And I really liked Ridge. All of a sudden, I stopped liking Ridge and I don't know why. And then his love interest drove me insane. I couldn't see the connection. They continue to bump into each other throughout town. And then all of a sudden, he's like, mine, stay away. But they have really not, there's nothing that connects them at all. And we don't see any inner dialogue in his part that makes him want to do this. And the other thing that drove me nuts is when he has a newborn baby and everyone keeps telling him, oh, it's okay, go out and do things, you have to do things for yourself, you still get to go out and have fun. He's working full time and he has this newborn and I'm like, but his priority for the newborn should be at home bonding with the baby when he's not at work. Like I get that he needs to work, I'm not. So it just felt weird to me because I could not picture friends telling a brand new mom who has literally a newborn baby, like, oh, it's okay to leave the baby and go out and have fun. Like, you just say that maybe when the baby's 3 months, 6 months, like, you need a break. It's okay to go out and get a coffee. You don't usually encourage them to go out
They
to poker
normally
night
wouldn't
and
anyway.
parties and stuff like that with when
Yeah.
they have a brand new baby. So it just seemed weird to me that kept happening like multiple times in the book. And that just kind of threw me off because it felt like he wanted to be a good dad. And then I just started not liking him. Anyway, I'm way over my time for a book I didn't really care for. So pity 3. If you've read it, let me know. Did Jessica and I get it wrong? Jessica apparently liked it a little bit more than I did, but
I,
ugh.
I remember listening to it when I was at work, and I probably didn't pay as much attention to all those things because I was working while I was doing it, and that could have been why too.
Yeah, the heroine just started to drive me nuts. I did tear up at the beginning of the book, so I felt like
Oh
it was off to a solid.
yeah, and I
So
think
this
that's why
isn't,
I gave it a 4. Was the first half of the book was good. It's when you get to the latter half where you're like, what is going on?
yeah, and then there's some twists that just didn't even make sense that didn't even need to be in there. Like sometimes I really like twists.
Yeah,
Karen Crumpton, usually there's always something happening in her books that you don't see coming, and I
yeah,
love it. I'm here for that.
yes,
They have to make sense. This
yes.
book, the stuff that went, I'm like,
No
what?
making sense.
Like, why? Why are we even doing this? It doesn't, it's too much of a stretch. But anyways, okay, let's go on to the next book that I read.
Okay, let's do
The
that.
next book I read is, and I can just stay on for this with you, it's Little Stranger by Lee Rivers. This is part of the Convincing My Bestie. This is the obsessive hero I picked. We have Olivia and Malachi. They are step siblings. They get adopted into the same family. She's 7 when he gets adopted in. He's 8. She's been there already for a little while. They're raised as siblings, but they don't act like siblings. Wink, wink. And he gets extremely obsessive with her. Um, I'm actually surprised you like this as much as you did because it is very smutty. And usually you're like, I don't like that. But it
Yeah.
is pretty smutty. And that's kind of the focus of the whole book. Like there's a screwdriver situation, not the drink, like an actual screwdriver. Like it just it's I was here for it. I really enjoyed it.
We'll talk about it. And I think he's
Yes,
mute.
go
He's mute
watch
as well.
Convincing My Bestie. That should be
Yeah,
out on Thursday.
yeah. My favorite part was he was selectively mute. Like they.
Oh yeah, I forgot that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
All right. So
All right.
that's my 9 books for the week.
Okay. So that's
Don't
what we have for
expect
you
that to
guys.
happen next week.
I don't either.
Oh, you're way down.
I'm reading a very long book that I'm beta reading right now, and I need to get that done. So I don't know how many I'll get in next week, but we'll see. So, yay.
All
All right,
right.
guys. So that's what we have for you this week.
Make sure you check back on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays for new videos from us. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give us some comments. How was your reading week? What have you read? If it hasn't even been this week, that's okay. What's a good book that you've read this month? And don't forget to go check out Christopher's book, Grand Finale. It is definitely worth the read.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.